Hey there and welcome back. We are talking to Tony Siebenek and Kathy Appel-Hans about Feed Lucas County Children. This is an incredible project. A really strong shout out to Mike Miller and Tom Pounds at the Toledo Free Press for embracing this project and asking Bridges to be a part of this effort to publicize this really critical issue in our community, and that's the issue of hungry kids. You know, we do an awful lot of talk in this community and on this show about the importance of education, but the reality is that if your kids are going to school hungry, guess what, folks? They're not learning. There's just no way they're learning. These folks are here to kind of pick up that slack that happens once school closes a little bit and throughout the year as well.
Very much, Doni. Yes,
Yeah.
You know what's really exciting about this whole thing is when school lets, we get pretty excited, especially when May comes. School's letting out, and we have all these partnerships that contain all these educational components. And one thing to keep in mind, all these different sites that we're feeding kids at, some of them have a lot of, you know, one site might have like math and reading, tutoring. Some are just physical fitness. Each site is kind of special in its own way, and it's catered to the kids in that neighborhood. But what's really neat is you can take them from, you know, they're not just going to stay at home and stay in front of that one-eyed monster, that TV, you know. They're going to get into an educational setting, and then we come in and partner and we provide that meal. So, I mean, they're not going to spend their summer just goofing off.
Right.
And that's what's really,
and kids want to do stuff. Kids don't want to sit.
They don't want to sit. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. We take so much for granted. We were saying at the break, you know, we take so very much for granted. We don't think about the idea of these kids, 24,000 kids, in fact, being hungry in this community.
And we're reaching about a third of those at this point?
About a third, you know. What everybody's got to realize is that, you know, we're in a very small kitchen. And, yeah, we're reaching almost a third of these kids. But once we get a bigger size kitchen, we are very confident that we're going to be reaching an easy 2/3 of those kids within 2 years.
No kidding. And you're working on a bigger kitchen?
Well, we're right now getting the word out. We're getting a lot more phone calls, but we're in a rented space. And we need to get into a bigger kitchen. And we've got a lot of other organizations like, you know, OSU Extension, you know, the Seagate Food Bank, Grace Community Center. I mean, I could go on and on with organizations, but everybody's getting excited that we someday here soon can have what they call a community-friendly kitchen to help families in need when it comes to actually hot prepared meals.
That's a great idea.
It is, and that's what we're hoping, that we can get some more attention to this. Doni, we've found some good locations. You know, we've had all kinds of people say, well, if you're reaching a third, how are you going to reach 2/3 or maybe the majority of them? But the truth of the matter is, the track record shows we just keep reaching more, but now we're getting at that level where we need more room. With confidence, we know that we're going to knock on almost 1 million meals, and I know that's a big number.
It's a huge number.
It's a huge number, but we have the track record and the collaborations with all these other organizations in the county over these years that we see as reaching. We're going to knock on 1 million meals within 2 to 3 years.
That's amazing.
Just the 11 weeks of the summertime.
In just 11 weeks,
just
1 million meals.
11 weeks.
You know what, and hold that thought, because I want to take this opportunity before we run out of time to say a huge thank you to Churchill's, right? Huge thank you to Churchill's.
Oh, I'll tell you, Doni, that was...
How'd we do? First tell them what the program is.
Well, what they did was they called it a roundup program, so everybody who went shopping at either of the 2 Churchill stores, when you checked out, you just rounded up to the closest dollar. And then those dollars were then donated to us. And they went a week and a half, or about 2 weeks, and it was...
I wish we had a drum roll here.
Yeah, it was...
We need a drum roll, Jonathan. We don't have a drum roll.
My hat's off, but it was almost $7,000.
$7,000.
Yeah, I was really surprised, really.
Wow.
I thought, wow, this is pretty good.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
In how much time again?
2 weeks.
2 weeks' time,
Right.
$7,000.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to Churchill's and every one of you who contributed to this
Right.
program. You will never know the impact that you've made. Never know the impact that you've made.
You don't even know how to say thank you enough.
Yeah.
I was telling my wife, I said, how do you tell people like that thank you? You know, I mean, you know, it's just like you feel like you should do so much more for people like Churchill's or somebody who helps you out like that. Because, you know, we really do honestly appreciate every dollar we get. Those pennies add up. I got to tell you this real quick story. There's an elderly little lady who lives off Dorr Street. And she called up, this about 5 years ago, and she goes, hey, I want to give a fixed income. You know, I can't give you money. And I said, just tell 10 friends about what we're doing. She did. One of her friends went to their very small congregational church. And now every year that small church takes one Sunday and has a little giving thing for us.
Just for you.
Just for us.
How
and so
cool is that?
every year in December, I always call her up and say, hey, you know, Mrs., thank you for the gift. Oh, I didn't do nothing. I said, oh, yes, you did. You told 10 people, and someone came through. You gave the greatest gift.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah.
Let's tell people how they can get involved and the kinds of things they could do. Kathy, why don't you help us out with that?
Well, I got involved, and anybody can call the number at Feed Lucas County Children, 419
260
1556.
1556. We're actually going to show that. They don't know their phone numbers. We're sorry about that. But we know their phone numbers, and we're going to show them to you at the before we go away at the end of the show. So you call that number. What kind of opportunities are there?
Working in the kitchen,
Yeah.
working in the community, going out to different sites. In the summer, we've got over 65 sites, churches, community rooms,
What happens at
parks.
the sites then?
We need people to help serve. We need people to help clean up. We need people to help set up. If all you can do is open up a folding table and put it out at Gunkel Park, we need your help.
Right.
These kids don't drive, and their parents don't drive to these sites. So with more funding, a bigger kitchen, we could get to more sites. We could get more volunteers to help us, and we could feed a lot more kids.
Wow.
We're limited in our sites because of the limitations of our kitchen, and more volunteers
Would be a big help.
would be a big help.
It's just like
There's a
if we had like even 2 volunteers to help wash the fruits, because what a lot of people don't realize, we serve a lot of fresh fruit, and it's amazing how well kids eat radishes, and you know we'll feed
Radishes,
them.
really?
I am serious. We found that out.
Not my favorite.
We
but-
do a lot of experimenting, but you know the kiwi, the radishes. When those little kids say, "I slammed it," we know that it was a hit.
It was a great meal.
A lot
If
of
they
kids have
slammed
never seen a radish, and a lot of kids maybe have never seen a nectarine. They've
Or
seen
kiwi.
apples
A
and
kiwi's
oranges.
kind of an-
Kiwi's an unusual.
It's an unusual kind of fruit. Yeah.
I think they would eat kiwi every day.
It's fun. You've got to make nutrition and eating fun, and this program gives kids the opportunity to eat some things that they wouldn't have in school.
Yeah. So you don't have
Fresh
to have
foods.
money to be a part of this. You just have to have a little time and the heart to give back.
And what better volunteer service can you do for children? Name one that beats that. Children are our future. Someday they're going to be taking care of us.
Yeah.
We need to take care of our kids.
Right.
And a hungry kid is not a kid that can focus. It's not a kid who can do anything other than worry about where he's at the moment.
And you know the other thing is, I mean, there's a lot of good things going on in this county, and we don't want to forget that. And the one thing that always comes to my mind is we've got to cover the most basic thing in life, and that's that, you know, food and water is basics. And there's a lot of other good things happening in Lucas County where they then can step in and help these children in their other areas of need. And we've seen some great partnerships. You know, oh my goodness, I remember at the very beginning of this program, the Northwest Dental Center, you know, they jumped in the educational program and started working with kids on some fun, educational dental stuff, and that was a really neat add-on.
That's Linda Cree's program. She does a great job.
Fabulous
great job
people.
with that program.
Yep.
Great job.
We wanted a little more visibility this year to get more kids coming to our sites. We had no signage. We had no big banners. And part of what I did this spring was I went around and called a number of different banners and sign companies, and Toledo Sign jumped in. I walked in unannounced, old school, and said, can I talk to somebody about making us some banners? And Brian Heil from Toledo Sign jumped in and said, I'll help you. Come on back to my office. He took me back. We discussed what we needed to have, and he made 6 huge banners for us that are hanging at several of our sites.
So anything you can do is probably going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Anything you can do. I want to ask you this before we go. We only have a few minutes left. We were talking at the break about little kids actually drinking the juice from other kids. Well, the first time you saw that, first time you saw a child sort of rescue a carton that was about to be thrown away and drink from that carton, do you remember how you felt?
Yeah, I was appalled. I thought, this can't be happening in America. It can't be happening in Toledo, and I can't be watching what I'm watching. And last summer and this summer, it continues to go on. Children will wait until the end of serving time at our over 65 sites, and they will go directly to the trash knowing that it's going to get dumped. And last week on the east side, a little 3 or 4-year-old girl went over to this huge trash can where plates, forks, napkins, garbage was being dumped, and she went to retrieve the juice boxes and the milk cartons and started to drink out of them.
Wow.
And she says, I'm still hungry.
I said,
honey, you don't want to do that. And she says, but I'm still hungry.
I'm still hungry. And she knew she might not get anything else until she saw
tomorrow
you guys,
when we show up.
I want you guys to remember those words as your last image on this conversation, because I want you to remember that there was a reason for you to donate your time to Feed Lucas County Kids. Again, thank you, Tom Pounds and Mike Miller, for drawing attention to this. And we are going to go away, and we'll be right back. So please stay with us.